a bit of Jim Does SuperCoach. Jimmy here from NBA Straya. Jim Does SuperCoach. The NBA Cup is done, which means our long national nightmare of having no NBA Supercoach for the last 9 days is over. That means week 8 is fast approaching, so it's a quick week. We go from Thursday through to Monday, so we're going to do a quick show. We're mostly going to talk about cash cows and schedule. We don't really need to rehash week 7 or anything because it finished like a week and a bit ago now. Like, I was trying to figure out, like, in terms of like my actual score in week 7 was 1,161. I dropped 53 spots overall down to 390th overall. And I was trying to figure out what happened. I'm like, aha, that's right. Luka went away for the birth of his kid, which was brutal. But anyway, we're not going to rehash week 7. We're just going to talk about looking forward for week 8 and so on and so forth. But as always, proceed with caution with SuperCoach, right? Check how many games your players have. As I mentioned, week 8 only runs from Thursday to Monday this week. So it's going to be a really condensed, crazy week with a bunch of teams only with 2 games, some with 3. So let's talk that out. First, before we dive into week 8, injuries. Giannis is out for 2 to 4 weeks. I'd say on the longer side of that as they possibly try to keep him on ice before a trade. Austin Reeves was out for a week. He might be back by the time SuperCoach kicks in for the Lakers, but as we'll get to, they're one of our teams that we're going to steer clear of. Evan Mobley for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's out 2 to 4 weeks with a calf strain as well. Pretty rough stuff there. At least Steph Curry came back, and so did Ja Morant. I don't think Ja Morant's going to be much of a SuperCoach sort of doyen this season. Just wildly inefficient, always hurt, just a bit of a risk. But hey, Steph back and on fire. So look, heading into week 8, we've got a couple of really obvious cash cows. We've got Ryan Nembhard, Dallas Mavericks undrafted rookie, has taken over as the Dallas starting point guard and is crushing it. So I think he finished week 7 with 98 SuperCoach points. His break even therefore is at minus 50. Yo, beauty! Priced at 4.7 mil. They've only got 2 games this week, but I'm not bothered. That break even to minus 50. We need to make as much cash as we possibly can in SuperCoach. Nembhard is an obvious, clear candidate for one of the biggest cash cows right now. He's a really ideal downgrade or sideways trade from like someone like Dennis Jenkins, down from Ryan Rollins if you need to. Even Reed Shepherd if you want to move on from him, which is another interesting one. I want to get to the next guy. But Ryan Nembhard, look, he'll have a couple of up and down games. He's an undrafted rookie for a reason. But with a break even to minus 50, 2 games this week, it's a solid launch pad into like the next couple of weeks as well. Dallas don't have too many games. They're one of the sort of crummier schedule teams over the next 3-4 weeks. But still, Nembhard, good cash cow. Kevin Porter Jr. for the Milwaukee Bucks. Is it Algonquin for the good land, Jim? Maybe, if you want to make some cash with Kevin Porter Jr. KPJ had 134. Came back from injury with a bang. He's now priced at 9.1 mil. Perfect sideways trade from someone like Reed Shepherd, who is kind of topping out the 134, but it's mostly because of KPJ's upside, right? KPJ, without Giannis, he had 134 last week. Break even to minus 42 this week. Again, the Bucks only have 2 games this week too. But with Giannis on ice, it's going to be KPJ, and a little bit more KPJ, right? It's like, here, there's Miles Turner. Great. There's Kyle Kuzma. Don't care. Kevin Porter Jr. will be like, hey, who's calling my number? Oh, that's right, I am. Check this out. Whang. And he's going to go off. So break even to minus 42. Perfect sort of sideways trade or downgrade from one of your big money guards. Especially with Giannis sort of resting. This is great, right? We've also got a couple of other great ones with the Spencers. That's right, there's 2 of them. Pat, who's on the Warriors, and Cam, who's on Memphis. Pat Spencer on the Warriors. He's got a break even to minus 37. He's only at 4.9 mil. These are both Pat and Cam are kind of a little bit more boom or bust, but both have solid roles right now, right? Which is pretty important. Memphis still pretty thin on the ground. The Warriors basically just trying to find anyone with a pulse that can sort of goose that offense. So Pat's got a break even to minus 37, priced at 4.9. Cam, break even to minus 27, priced at 7.1 mil on the Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies do have this very strange rotation at the moment. Now that Jar's back, I expect Cam to maybe just not have as many highs as he's been getting to. But, I mean, he's been playing awesome. So Thomas Isalo should be playing him as much as he can. But I don't know. At 7.1 mil, I'd probably rather than Nembhard or KPJ. But at 4.9 mil, if you've got another downgrade target with someone like Pat, go make some cash. He's going to go whoopang. So both those guys are in the rotation. Both their coaches are leaning on them a little bit. I don't know how long that's going to last, but for now, pretty good cash cows. Jordan Walsh is another one on the Boston Celtics, right? Break even to minus 33. He's supplanted Josh Minott in the starting lineup for the Boston Celtics. Looking very good. Defense first. Massive defensive numbers. He had 99 points last round for Supercoach as well. I'm not entirely sure if his upside is quite as high as maybe some of these other ones. He's already at 6.5 mil. The break even to minus 33 is very tasty. But just proceed with caution. I think Boston, look, they've been playing really, really well. They had a tough loss the other day to Detroit. But Jordan Walsh is trusted. Joey Muzz, he loves him. Oh, Jordan Walsh, I love you, bro. That kind of vibe. Just don't expect huge scores, I guess, from him. I feel like the upside for someone like KPJ, even with, accounting for a bit of inefficiency here and there, is a little bit higher. And Jalen Wells, still got a break even on minus 30. He's actually on my team. He had 56 last week. He's at 7.7 mil, but went up 980K. I think he's sort of like taking those little steps. He and Cedric Coward are both really good options, both on Memphis and on your Supercoach team. I think Wells has probably got a little bit of money to make. They probably trust him just that little bit more. Coward, though, has these really great games every so often. You're like, oh, that's awesome. My other one was Maxime Renaud. He had 71 last week. I was on him early. You might remember going back 3-4 weeks, especially with Sabonis out. He's now starting. He had 71 last week. 5.1 mil, still a break even to minus 20, still a really good downgrade target for your center if you need one. Jalen Tyson's another good one for Cleveland. Great role. He had 104 last round. Cavs are a bit of a mess. With Mobley out as well, there's just some holes in their rotation. He will play a lot. He's at 8.8 mil. He's probably made a big chunk of his cash already, but he's at break even still at minus 15, so there's still cash to make if you believe in him. One more bonus just to keep just a side eye on. I talked about all of the Nets rookies 2 weeks ago. They're proving kind of like up and down here and there. Another one just to keep a little bit of an eye on is Nick Clifford on the Kings. Break even of 9, price at 3.6 mil. They're just trying to find anything that works, the Kings, right? And if DeRozan misses any time, Levine misses any time, they're just going to play the rookies, right? That is a horrible Kings team. He had 28 last week, but he's playing more basically since then too. So, and this is like the weird thing with this break that NBA Supercoach has had. The stats for the games that have happened in the interceding time, we don't know what they are, right? So we're kind of working off week 7's scores, but there's been a week and a half with the games in between. So this is like educated guesses a lot of the time, but I'm just saying, pretty educated when it comes to NBA. Bryce McGowan's on the Pelicans. He was another bit of a favorite 2 weeks ago. He's still got a break even of minus 2. He had 50 last round. He's at 4.7 mil. Pelicans are getting a lot of their dudes back at the moment. They've almost got like a full rotation. Like they've got Herb Jones and Zion Williamson back. So I'm probably just pump the brakes on McGowan's. Dominic Barlow was the other one for the Sixers. 6.4 mil. Paul George is back and playing. He had 56 last round. Break even of 8. I'm just sort of not that really bang on about him. So who are the trade targets for week 8, Jim? Just shush. That's enough cash cows. What are we doing for the next one? Well, we have to play to the schedule. We've always got to play to the schedule with NBA Supercoach, right? Very, very simple. We only go from Thursday to Monday this week, so a lot of teams with only 2 games. Who has the max 3 games this week, Jim? There's 10 teams, I believe. I think we've got Atlanta, Chicago, Houston, Miami, Minnesota, the Knicks, the Spurs, Sacramento, Toronto, and Washington. So you can build out a half-decent sort of rotation on your Supercoach team with those 10 teams, right? I am looking but the tricky part is obviously with the cash cows to the degree of like Nemhard and KPJ, they only have 2 games. The amount of money they're going to make you versus the cash cows that are available on those 10 teams, it's a really tough one, right? Because there's not too many, weirdly enough, of the good cash cows on those 10 teams playing 3 games this week that you really want to get into your team. So what we have to think about, though, is with this short week, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Because, look, a little bit further ahead, some teams have only got 2 games this week. I get it. That's fine. But a bunch of those teams that have 2 games this round have 4 games next week, but also 4 games the week after and 4 games the week after that. They have the max amount of games in the next 4 weeks, which is 14, right? So you got 5 teams that have 2 games this week. That's Denver, the Pelicans, OKC, Orlando, and Portland, right? They've all got 4 each the next 3 rounds. That's huge. So you don't be too afraid if you're getting someone in from Denver or the Pelicans or the Thunder, the Magic, or the Blazers, because you're going to get another 12 after this week, right? So that's the max you can get. So basically, I want a player that I'm trading in this week from teams that have the max 14 games over the next 4 rounds of SuperCoach, because then you're maximizing everything you're doing. That is Denver, the Pelicans, OKC, Portland, Orlando, as well as the ones I was mentioning earlier: Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, Minnesota, the Knicks, Spurs, and Washington. So those teams have got 14 games over the next 4 rounds. So it'll either be 3 or 2 this round. Some of them have got, the ones that have got 3 this round have got 3 next week, and then 4 and 4. Ones that have got 2 this week, they'll have 4, 4, and 4 the next 3 rounds. So we're maximizing the games played. That's really important. The flip side is the teams that don't. I'm looking at you, the Lakers and Brooklyn. They've only got 11 games over the next 4 rounds. So as tempting as it is to have Luka in, I've got Luka in my team right now. Broke my heart with the missing of the 2 games. Still managed to get to 72, and I think his score might have counted for me. But still, the other teams that have only got 12 games over the next 4 rounds are the Clippers, Philly, Boston, the Bucks, Detroit, and Dallas. And a couple of those are really important SuperCoach teams, right? The Clippers, that's your James Harden types, Kawhi Leonard. Philly, that's Maxey. That breaks your heart. Boston, Jaylen Brown. Oh, boy. Milwaukee, obviously I've talked about Kevin Porter Jr. It's also Ryan Rollins. Detroit, that's Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren. Dallas, we're talking about Ryan Nembhard. Also Cooper Flagg, who is kind of like a lock and load, but he's only got this like 12-game stretch here. So with 2 less games over the next 4 rounds, yeah, it's not a giant amount, but it will add up. So just, as I say, proceed with caution. So my favorite trade targets out of all of this, KPJ and Nembhard, lock and load cash cows. I just want to make a bit more cash in those spots, downgrade them a little bit later. KPJ just can, ripping off 134 out of nowhere, he can keep that up for another couple of weeks, right? He'll probably outscore the likes of Con Knipple, who has also been super duper solid. But KPJ's got a pretty high ceiling, so I'm happy with him in my team. Obviously, if you don't have Jokic, you've got to get him in. He's got 14 games over the next 4 weeks. Wemby, that's the big question. Do you trust him to play all of these games coming back from the calf strain? I'd probably, again, be like, I don't think so. I do like, however, Stephon Castle. You saw him go off his head in the NBA Cup final, 12 assists, has been super solid in since basically he came back. He's my targeted one at 11.6 mil. Other ones out there, Jalen Johnson, obviously Atlanta, SGA. You can get him back into your teams from now on. I'm probably going to wait 1 more week for SGA, or maybe get him in for Luka this week. I'm not entirely convinced just yet. Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo for the Miami Heat. Bit of a tricky one just because of the simple fact that Kel'el Ware, the offense has sort of gone a bit sideways. Bam's a little bit off his head. I'm kind of looking out for Miami teams. Obviously, Denny Avdia, he's been absolutely unreal if you've got him in your team. I went with Scotty Barnes instead of Denny, and it's kind of like a bit of a muchness, but Scoob has been okay. The other cash cows, if you don't have them in, like Derek Queen, if you don't have him, Pelicans, look, he's going to keep on making a lot of cash. He's at 9.4 mil. He had 111 in week 7. Just saying, if you can afford to get him in, he's still going to keep making cash. They're going to keep feeding him. They're going to keep playing him, and they've got a lot of games coming up. Spencer Jones is another interesting one for Denver. He's got a break even of -13, 4.2 mil. He's another little one that you can put on your bench if you basically want to free up some cash elsewhere. If you've got a Colin Murray Boyles, as we call him, that's another interesting one. You could probably, punt him. But Toronto do have 3 games this week, so just saying, he might still make some cash. Dylan Harper, another one for the Spurs. Break even of 25. He looked great in the NBA Cup. Keep an eye on Asen Newell on Atlanta. He's sort of carving out a little bit of a bench role right now with Kristaps Porzingis out for the next couple of weeks at least. They're sort of digging into that rotation a little bit further. He's been pretty solid. And the other one is OKC J-Dub, Jalen Williams, not Jalen Williams. 80 last round, coming back from injury, played obviously throughout this NBA Cup, got a little bit of rest here. But this is the problem. Coming back from injury, same with Wemby, he might get a bit of the dreaded did not play injury management, like designation. So just want to probably give them a couple more weeks to sort of get more acclimatized to playing and stuff like that, and they're not resting as much coming back from injury. But looking at some of the names who are traded in from not my team, Şengün is another really good one, but Houston don't have that max 14 games. So I sort of ended up going with Stephon Castle, I think, over Şengün. It also freed up a bunch of cash. I think Castle is going to go to the moon. Priced at 11.6 mil. He's probably my favorite pickup for this week. And I think what I'm also probably going to do is move on from Luka, because the Lakers run here with their schedule. So week 8, they play 2 games. Week 9, they play 3 games. Week 10, they play 3 games. Week 11, they play 3 games. It's just hamstringing yourself when you could have, while he's playing 3 games a week, getting 4 games of someone like SGA, 4 games of Stephon Castle. It gets a little bit tricky. Even 4 games of Josh Giddey, like each week. The Bulls are a bit of a mess, but I still believe in Gids. Or even Jalen Brunson. Look, they've got 3 games this round. They might give them a hint, like he might have like 1 or 2 games rested, but they've got a 14-game max. Ant-Man's coming off his ankle injury as well. He's another one that I'd probably be looking at for my Luka thing, but I'm a little bit worried about Ant-Man with the ankle injury, whether or not he misses another game or 2 here or there as part of injury rehab. You know what I'm saying? So I think my favorites, obviously, if you don't have Jokic, if you don't have Jalen Johnson, I don't mind the Şengün one. He plays 13 games over the next 4 weeks. He's that good, baby Jokic, that he might still go off. Castle's probably my favorite trade in. Ant-Man's not a bad one, but coming off an ankle injury, I'm just a little bit wobbly. Denny Avdia, if you don't have him in, also a really good option. He had 129 in week 7. They are just running out of bodies in Portland, so he's playing heaps. He looks awesome, so don't mind me some Denny. Derek Queen, get him in as well. So remember, all of those teams that have the 14 games over the next 4 weeks, the 3 games next week for week 8, and then the max amount of games over that sort of 4-week stretch from week 8, week 9, week 10, week 11, get those guys in, right? Just to rehash, it is Denver, New Orleans, OKC, Orlando, Portland, Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, Minnesota, New York, Spurs, and Washington. Get their dudes into your team. And that's what I'll be doing. Try my hardest at least. I feel bad about having to punt Luka, but here we are. But there you go. Quick one for a quick week. Thursday through to Monday. We'll be back next Monday as well. So, well, yeah, it'll be Monday afternoon, heading back into next Tuesday to wrap up week 8 and set you up for week 9 as per usual. So that's it for this week. That's Jim Does SuperCoach. Check out our NFL SuperCoach show. That might go up tonight, tomorrow possibly. We've got a little bit of extra time for NFL SuperCoach, but it is the pointy end. It's playoffs for that. In the meantime, make sure you're following NBA Straya, NFL Straya, Jim Does SuperCoach on Twitter, Facey, IG, TikTok, YouTube, all that good stuff. We're all over the socials. Rate, review, star, subscribe across all of your podcast apps as well. That'd be really handy. Jump on the YouTube, check it all out. Lots of fun stuff there. Big thanks to Joshua De Laurentiis for the intro and outro song as well. All right, week 8, NBA Supercoach hits tomorrow. Be prepared. Proceed with caution. Have a great week 8. And here's to another top 1% finish. All right, this has been Jim Does SuperCoach. Happy SuperCoaching.